Ever feel like the tech world is moving at, well, just warp speed, and you're trying to grab the key info without getting totally swamped?
Yeah, that's pretty much the feeling for everyone, I think. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here.
We want to cut through the noise,
Yeah,
give you the essential knowledge, making clear what actually matters.
right. Hopefully spark a few of those aha moments along the way.
And today, we're really diving deep into NVIDIA. I mean, they're just so central to everything happening in tech right now.
Absolutely pivotal. So we've got their latest Q1 results, stuff from their newsroom, a look at their AV safety report, which is fascinating, and some analysis on their position in the AI chip market.
Okay, so the mission today, connect all those dots, figure out why NVIDIA is doing so well now, what their game plan looks like, and what it all means for the rest of us.
Exactly. Think of it as your fast track to understanding what's going on with them.
Okay, let's start unpacking it. The financials, first Q1 for fiscal year 2025. The big headline number everyone saw, record revenue, $26.0 billion.
Record is almost an understatement. That's up 18% just from the last quarter.
And compared to last year.
An incredible 262% jump year over year. I mean, that's not just growth, that's explosive acceleration. Something powerful is definitely happening.
And drilling down, it really looks like the data center business is the engine here. A record $22.6 billion.
Yeah, and get this, that's up 427% compared to the same quarter last year. 427%.
Wow. So what's driving that specifically?
Well, it lines up perfectly with the whole generative AI explosion, doesn't it? The CFO commentary points directly to huge shipments of their Hopper GPU platform.
Those are the chips for training the big AI models, right? Like LMMs and recommenders.
Exactly. Think of them as the shovels in the gold rush. They're specifically built for training and running these massive AI models. Data center compute revenue alone was up 478% year over year. It tells you exactly where the demand is.
So AI is clearly the main story. But what about their other segments? Gaming, for instance. That used to be their bread and butter.
Gaming's still doing okay. It saw an 18% increase year over year, which, is pretty solid for a more mature market.
But down sequentially.
Yeah, down 8% from Q4. They put that down to the usual seasonal dip in laptop GPU sales after the holidays. Seems plausible.
Okay. And professional visualization. Similar story.
Pretty much, up 45% year over year, which is strong, but also down 8% sequentially. Again, they mentioned weaker demand for desktop workstation GPUs in Q1.
Right. Then there's automotive. That's the one everyone keeps an eye on for future growth.
And it showed steady progress, up 11% year over year, and actually up a healthy 17% sequentially.
Oh, interesting. So what's behind that sequential jump?
It looks like increasing adoption of their self-driving platforms and their AI cockpit stuff. So yeah, it suggests they're getting real traction there. It's a long game, but it's moving.
Okay, let's pull back to the overall financials. Profitability looked really good too. Higher gross margins.
Yeah, significantly higher. And the main reason, again, is that booming data center segment. Those high-end AI chips command premium prices.
So selling more of them just lifts the whole average.
Exactly. Plus, they mentioned getting some favorable costs on components, which helps too.
But growth like this costs money, right? Did operating expenses go up?
Oh, definitely. OpEx was up compared to last year and last quarter. The CFO basically said it's down to higher compensation and benefits.
Hiring more people?
Yeah, hiring more people, paying them well. It's what you'd expect when a company is scaling up this fast to meet demand.
Makes sense. Now, before we leave the numbers, two big shareholder announcements, the stock split and the dividend hike. Let's talk about the split. First 10 for 1. Why do that?
Well, the official reason is always about making the stock more accessible. Lowering the price per share can make it psychologically easier, maybe, for employees or smaller retail investors to buy in.
So it doesn't change the company's actual value, just cuts the pie into smaller slices.
Precisely. Same pizza, more slices. It's a common move when the stock price gets really high. Makes it feel more approachable.
And the dividend. 150% increase. That seems like a pretty confident signal.
Absolutely. Raising the dividend that much says we're making a lot of money, and we expect to keep making a lot of money. It's a direct way to return cash to shareholders.
Okay, so the post-split dividend is a cent per share paid in late June.
That's right.
And what about their outlook? What are they telling us about Q2?
They're forecasting revenue around $28 billion, give or take 2%, so continued growth.
And margins.
They expect gross margins to stay strong, sort of in the mid-70% range for the whole year, and operating expense growth in the low 40% range for the full fiscal year. So Yeah, the outlook suggests they think this strong momentum will continue.
Okay, this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. Moving beyond just the numbers, Jensen Huang, the CEO, he keeps talking about this next industrial revolution and AI factories.
No.
What's the big idea there?
Right. If you sort of think about data centers, historically they were for storing stuff, running basic apps. Huang's saying we're shifting to a new kind of data center.
The AI factory.
Exactly. It's optimized for accelerated computing. And its main product isn't just processing data, it's actually producing, well, artificial intelligence, like a new commodity.
So NVIDIA isn't just selling chips for this. They see themselves building the whole factory.
That's the pitch. They stress it's not just processors, it's the whole stack, the interconnects, the software, the algorithms, the systems, even services, all tuned for AI. They want to be the toolkit for this new era.
And this vision applies across their main markets. Data center, gaming, ProViz, auto.
That's right. Obviously, data center is where the massive growth is right now, but the core tech, the expertise, it applies elsewhere too. And the demand for their Hopper platform for AI training and inference, it's coming from everywhere.
Like who?
Cloud providers, big internet companies, regular enterprises, governments doing sovereign AI, even automotive and healthcare jumping in. It's broad-based.
And they're not standing still. They announced new platforms. Blackwell, Spectrum-X, what's new there?
Blackwell is the next big thing, basically. In full production now, they say. It's designed to handle even bigger AI models, like trillion parameter scale. Even more horsepower.
And Spectrum-X?
Spectrum-X is interesting because it's about networking. It's designed to let companies build large-scale AI infrastructure using standard Ethernet. That could really broaden their reach, make it easier for more companies to adopt their stuff without needing specialized networking like InfiniBand.
Software seems key, too. They mentioned NVIDIA NIM. What is that?
Yeah, NIM looks like a move to make AI deployment easier and more widespread. It's presented as a software layer, kind of like middleware.
Okay.
It delivers optimized, enterprise-ready, generative AI models that can run in different places, cloud, on-premise data centers, even powerful local PCs, the RTX AI PCs.
So it could really democratize access to using these advanced models.
That seems to be the idea. Lowering the barrier to entry for businesses and maybe even individuals to actually use generative AI effectively.
Let's shift focus a bit. The newsroom updates show this tech moving out into the real world now, right? It's not just theory.
Absolutely. This is where you see it hitting the ground, like Siemens using NVIDIA AI on actual factory floors for smarter manufacturing.
And the Microsoft collaboration.
Yeah, that's focused on what they call agentic AI that can kind of reason and act more independently. They want to accelerate that from the cloud all the way down to the PC. And obviously, the rise of those RTX AI PCs is part of that push to bring AI local.
Robotics seems like another big push for them.
For sure. Their research arm is talking about breakthroughs in multimodal AI, letting robots understand and interact using multiple senses, more like humans, and also using synthetic data.
Why is synthetic data important?
It lets you train robots for situations that are rare or dangerous in the real world without needing tons of real-world examples. You just generate the training data virtually. It's a huge accelerator for robotics development.
And Jensen Huang's talking about a $1 trillion AI infrastructure industry. That's ambitious.
It's a huge number, right? But it shows how deeply they believe AI is going to permeate everything. And look at the partnerships they're announcing.
Like Foxconn.
Exactly. Foxconn, giant manufacturer working with NVIDIA on robotics for healthcare, and also partnering with the Taiwan government to build a big AI supercomputer using Blackwell.
Taiwan does seem to be a real hub for them.
It really does. There's a growing quantum computing scene there involving Taiwanese manufacturers, and NVIDIA's tech is powering a major quantum research supercomputer. Plus, their Omniverse blueprint for digital twins of factories. Taiwanese manufacturers are adopting that too.
Digital twins of AI factories. That's pretty meta.
It is, isn't it? Using AI to design and optimize the factories that build AI infrastructure, and they're even looking further out, like humanoid robots.
Right, the Isaac GR00T platform.
Yeah, a specific platform for humanoids. Shows a very long-term vision. But they also have more immediate stuff, like AI blueprints for things like video search and summarization. It's a broad portfolio.
So it really feels like everyone from storage companies to regular IT departments are plugging into the NVIDIA ecosystem now.
That's the picture they paint. Launching things like DGX personal computing systems for AI pros and NVLink Fusion for building custom AI setups. It all points to enabling these AI factories, large and small, across tons of fields. They see huge revenue potential everywhere.
Okay, let's switch gears to something critical. especially with technology this powerful moving into the physical world.
Mm.
Autonomous vehicles and safety. They put out a whole safety report.
Yeah, and it's clear safety is, or at least needs to be, front and center. Their stated mission is safer roads, less traffic, more mobility. And Huang himself says safety is the #1 priority.
They talk about this framework called HALOS. What is that?
Halos is basically their umbrella term for unifying everything related to safety hardware, software, research into one system. It covers the whole pipeline from cloud development to the car itself.
And it aligns with specific standards.
Yes, explicitly. They mention adhering to functional safety like ISO 26262. So TIF, that's safety of the intended functionality, ISO 21448 cybersecurity with ISO 21434, and even getting ahead on AI-specific safety standards. It's meant to be comprehensive.
They also describe a 3-computer solution for AV development. Can you break that down?
It highlights the different stages. First, you train the AI models on massive DGX supercomputers in the data center. That's computer 1.
Okay.
Second, you test those models rigorously in simulation using NVIDIA Omniverse on OVX systems. That's computer 2.
Yeah.
This lets you test millions of virtual miles, edge cases, everything.
Before it ever hits the road.
Exactly. Then, only after extensive simulation validation, the software gets deployed onto the actual in-vehicle computer, the NVIDIA Drive AGX platform running Drive OS. That's computer 3. It's an iterative loop: train, simulate, deploy, gather data, repeat.
The report also mentions 4 pillars of safe autonomous driving. What are they?
Right. Pillar 1 is the core AI platform itself, NVIDIA Drive hardware and software. Pillar 2 is the development infrastructure, the DGX and Omniverse cloud tools for training and simulation.
Okay.
Pillar 3 is the physically accurate sensor simulation, making sure the virtual cameras, LiDAR, radar, behave like the real thing. Crucial for perception. And Pillar 4 is the overall safety and cybersecurity program, the processes, the culture, protecting against hacks, ensuring robustness.
And within Drive, they call out specific hardware and software.
Yeah. Key hardware includes things like their Hyperion sensor setup, the Orin chip, which is widely used now, and the upcoming Thor chip based on the new Blackwell architecture for more power.
And software.
Key software includes the Drive SDK with Drive OS, the DriveWorks tools for developers, and ACE for the in-car AI experience. They also stress data management, cloud infrastructure, and that sensor simulation using Omniverse Cloud Sensor RTX.
And they're getting external validation too.
Yeah.
Certification.
Yeah, they are. They emphasize following ISO 26262 and ISO 21448, contributing to AI safety standards, and they highlight things like getting 2SU certification for Drive OS 6.0. On cybersecurity, they mention aligning with UNES R155 and ISUSI 21434. They're trying to show they're following the rulebook.
And finally, testing isn't just simulation, right? And they're training people too.
Correct. It's a combination. Millions of miles in simulation, plus dedicated test tracks, plus on-road testing with trained safety drivers. And yeah, they emphasize training developers through their Deep Learning Institute and GTC conference. You need skilled people to build and deploy this safely.
Okay, let's zoom out again. The bigger picture. NVIDIA's dominance in the AI chip market. The analysis we saw suggests their market share is, well, huge.
It's definitely commanding. Estimates range from 70% up to maybe even 95% of the market for AI accelerators. That decision way back in 2012 to push GPUs for deep learning, that really paid off, gave them a massive head start.
What are the key things analysts point to for why they've held that lead?
It's a combination, really. First, the performance of their GPUs, like the A100 and H100. Then there's CUDA, their software platform, which makes it easier for developers to use their hardware.
Ecosystem.
Exactly. Features like tensor cores specifically boost AI tasks. Their DGX and HGX systems offer ready-made supercomputing solutions. And yeah, that whole rich software ecosystem, CUDA, CUDNN, Tensor, NVIDIA AI Enterprise, Omniverse, it all works together. And you can't discount Jensen Huang's leadership.
But competitors like Intel and AMD are pushing hard now. What challenges do they face trying to catch up?
They face a big challenge. Intel's Gaudi and AMD's MI300X are making noise, and AMD especially is projecting significant AI chip sales. But NVIDIA's lead is just enormous right now in terms of performance, installed base, and that software ecosystem.
So even if AMD sells billions worth, it's still a fraction of NVIDIA's expected revenue.
Pretty much, yeah. It highlights the scale difference. It's a tough climb for the competition.
The analysis also talked about switching costs and customer loyalty. Why is that so important here?
It's huge. Companies have invested heavily in building their AI workflows around NVIDIA's hardware and software. Switching to a competitor isn't just buying new chips. It often means rewriting software, retraining models, changing infrastructure. It's costly and time-consuming.
So customers tend to stick with what works, especially if NVIDIA keeps delivering performance gains.
Exactly.
Ugh.
That creates a strong stickiness, a loyalty that's hard for competitors to break as long as NVIDIA continues to innovate.
And clearly, the generative AI boom, ChatGPT, and everything that followed was the massive wave NVIDIA rode.
Absolutely. That created just an unprecedented surge in demand for precisely the kind of parallel processing power their GPUs provide. It directly fueled that incredible data center revenue growth we talked about.
But being so dominant attracts attention, right? Regulatory scrutiny.
It certainly does. There are reports the DOJ is looking into potential antitrust issues, basically asking if NVIDIA is using its market power unfairly to block competition.
What could that mean?
Well, regulatory investigations can take a long time, but they could potentially lead to restrictions on business practices or impact future acquisitions. It's definitely something to watch.
And are there any other potential threats, maybe from different types of AI chips?
The landscape is always shifting. One area people watch is edge AI chips designed for processing AI directly on devices, not in the data center. Companies focused on super efficient, low-power chips for phones, cars, or IoT devices could potentially carve out niches or challenge the centralized model over time.
Okay, so let's try to tie this all together. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive on NVIDIA?
Well, first, just phenomenal financial performance, really driven by this AI surge, especially in data centers. Second, they've positioned themselves strategically as the key enabler of these AI factories.
Building the infrastructure for the next revolution.
Pretty much. Third, their impact is spreading across so many industries, manufacturing, healthcare, automotive, with a strong focus on safety. And fourth, despite growing competition and regulatory eyes, they have a really dominant hold on the AI chip market right now, built on performance and that crucial ecosystem.
It definitely feels like they're more than just a chip company now. They're architects of this AI future. Hopefully this conversation has given you, our listener, a clearer picture of what's driving them and what it means.
Yeah, and it leaves you with a big question to think about, doesn't it? Given where NVIDIA is and how fast AI is moving, what's the next big thing, the next must-have technology or platform that drives the next wave?
And how might NVIDIA shape that future? Some interesting things to mull over.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, stay curious.